Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Test Automation Mantras. In today's session, I'm going to cover all practicals for the SQL statements. Before we deep dive into writing SQL queries, let's understand what is table. Table is nothing but it's an entity which stores the data in a form of rows and columns. So I have two tables which I've already created. So one is employee and the department. We'll understand the relationship later between these two tables. The first thing, let's write a simple select query. So if you would have to select the data from the employee table, say for example, the syntax is going to be select is a keyword. Then say you want to select everything from this table. So you have to use star. From is a keyword again, and employee is a table name from which you want to fetch all the data in. To execute the query, you can either press F5 or there's an execute button on the top. You can use that as well. This table contains one set of record here. You can see, so it got different columns as an employee ID, first name, last name, date of birth, age, and department number. So as I mentioned, we are using two different tables here. So department number is a reference coming from the department table. If you would like to select, say, simple one column, you can select a column or you can select the entire table records here. So select the column name from employee and select that, and you can execute that. So you will get result for a specific column. If you would like to select, say for example, any other column, you can specify that column name. If you would like to specify, say for example, from employee, but you would like to select and filter the records for a specific employee, so what you can do is select start from employee, where you can specify a condition and you would like to select only employees which have ID as a 1005. You will get the record. If you give any other ID and you try to execute the query, you will see there are no results returned here. So that's a simple select statement with the where clause. If there is more data, that's where you can apply more filters as well. So let's select the other table, which is a department table here. So from the EPT, and let's see what all records we have here. So select that and execute. So there's only one record as a 1002 sales, and the location is Sydney. So it got three columns. ID is a unique ID here. Now let's, for example, you would like to add another record for a marketing department. So what you will do, to insert the records, the statement is going to be insert into which table and what are the values. So you need to remember that's a syntax. And here the ID, so there are different ways you can specify an ID. It's auto-generated number, say for example. So let's, we don't need to specify here, it will auto-generate. And department name is, say for example, going to be marketing. And we have location here. So you can specify location, say it's going to be London. Just select that and try to run that. Once you run the insert query and you go and query the table department again, you will be able to see that the new department is inserted and location is inserted as well. Say, for example, you would like to insert another employee record. There is a new employee joined into the organization, and you have to insert a new record. So you can do the same thing for the employees table as well. But first, you need to know the structure of the table. So say, for example, you got employee ID, it will be auto-generated. There is another employee joined as a John, the last name, say, for example, tester, anything you can give here. Date of birth is, say, 2020, 09. Age is, say, let's give him 23, say, for example. And department number. Now department number is going to be referenced from the department table. Say, for example, you try to insert something which doesn't exist in the department table, and if you try to execute the query, you will see there will be an error inserting that record to the table. If you look at the error very carefully, it says the insert statement conflicted with the foreign key constraint, which is foreign FK department ID. The conflict occurred in the database. This is database name and this is a table name and on the department ID. So what it is trying to say is 1004 doesn't exist in the department table, so you cannot insert that. We will talk about all the constraints and references in future videos or future sessions. In this session, just consider you have to insert only those records where department ID does exist. So we have created, say, Joan is joining the marketing department. So we select 1003 and insert that employee record to 1003 and record is successfully inserted. You can go and run the select statement again, select star from employee, and you can see there is a new record created in the table. So these are the simple select statements, and now you have inserted record successfully as well. Say, for example, the last name changed for John, and you have to update that name into the table. So what you need to do is you have to run an update employee table. You have to use a set keyword equal to what is the new name going to be. Say, for example, John's last name is going to be, so this is the column which you have to update, and what is a new value it's going to be. Say, its last name is going to be something, Barar, or say John Andrew, where you have to specify a condition again because you cannot update all the records. You just want to update only record for John. So what you can do is first you can find an ID for John, which is 1007, and you have to specify a condition where employee ID equal to 1007. Select that and just execute the query again. If you go and query the employee table again, you will be able to see the updated name here. Say, for example, you do not specify this condition, and let's update, say, Andrew 1, and you just run this query. What it is going to do is update all the last name as Andrew 1, irrespective of which ID it is and that you don't want. Say, for example, we run that query, and if you run the select statement again on the employee table, as you can see, what it has done is updated all the records with Andrew. Now let's just correct these records. For 1007, we want it to be Andrew, and for 1005, needs to be other as a last name. So just run that query. So you have to be very careful when running the update statements on any table or any records. You have to look at the condition you are using to update that. So this is a simple update statement. If you would like to update multiple columns, say you have to update the age as well. So you can do so here by, say, 33, where employee ID equal to 1005. So it is going to update both the columns. And if you run the select statement again, you can see age is updated here. Say, for example, you don't want a record is inserted by mistake. Say, let's insert one more record here. Say, Don 11, tester 11, and date is going to be, say, something like this. And you want to insert into department ID 1003. So that record is inserted into the table. Say, for example, this record was inserted by mistake, and you would like to delete the record from the table. You can use the delete statement here. So delete from that table name, and you have to again specify the ID here because you cannot delete all the record. You only want to delete the record for employee ID 1008. So specify that employee ID and execute that. The query is successfully executed. Now you can go and say, check the records again, and employee ID 1008 doesn't exist. So this is the example of the insert update and delete. Say, for example, if you would like to do the same, delete from the department table. So as said, there is a relationship between the employee and the department table. If you go and just try to delete from the department table, say where department ID is equal to department ID equal to 1003, and you just try to delete that, you will get an error here. The error message clearly says that delete statement conflicted with the reference constraint, department ID, and conflict occurred in the database and on this table and on this column. So what it is trying to say that this department ID is referenced into the employee table and it's a reference key. So you cannot delete from the department table until this ID or records removed from the employee table. So there is a reference between department table and employee table. So department ID is a primary key in department table, but it's a reference key or foreign key in the employee table. So that relationship is stopping us to delete the record here. So we'll cover constraints in the future sessions and see if we can delete the record anyhow. So for today's session, this is all what we cover in DSL and DML statements. Thank you so much for watching. In future videos, I'm going to cover data definition language, transaction control language. So DDL will contain if you would like to create a table, would like to alter a table, drop the table, rename any columns, or you would like to truncate the table. So we'll cover all that in the future scenarios. Thank you once again.